Welcome to HornAfrica Insight, your deep dive into the Horn's biggest stories. From Sudan's refugee crisis in Ethiopia to Trump's Rwanda deportations, the UN's landlocked nations push, Starlink's Somalia launch, and Ethiopia's border clash with Somalia, we've got it all. Subscribe and dive in. The Sudan civil war between the Sudanese Armed Forces, SAF, and Rapid Support Forces, RSF, has displaced over 155,000 refugees into Ethiopia's Amhara region by mid-July 2025, crossing the Matema border, per Capital News. Among them, 38,000 are children, including Sudanese, Eritreans, and returning Ethiopians fleeing a conflict that has killed thousands since 2023. Ethiopia, hosting over 1 million refugees, struggles with resource strain. In Amhara, clashes between federal forces and Fano militias exacerbate insecurity near camps like Alala and Kumar, where Human Rights Watch documents abductions and killings since June 2023. Humanitarian agencies face blocked aid deliveries due to rising crime, endangering workers and refugees. In May 2025, 1,000 refugees protested dire camp conditions, but police halted their march, forcing reliance on makeshift shelters. UNICEF reports Amhara and Tigray host 80% of Ethiopia's 740,000-plus internally displaced persons, worsening the crisis. Ethiopia's commitment to UN refugee conventions prohibits refoulement, but funding shortages, only 30% of UNHCR's $1.1 billion appeal, met threaten lives. International donors must act to support Ethiopia's efforts, secure aid routes, and prevent a regional humanitarian collapse. Rwanda agreed to accept up to 250 migrants deported from the U.S. under Trump's third-country deportation policy, joining South Sudan and Eswatini, as confirmed by Rwandan spokesperson Yolanda Makolo to Reuters on August 4, 2025. Signed in June, the deal allows Rwanda to vet deportees, providing job training, healthcare, and housing to integrate them into its economy, one of Africa's fastest growing. The U.S. Supreme Court's July 2025 ruling enabled rapid deportations, targeting migrants from countries like Vietnam and Cuba, often unrelated to Rwanda. Critics, including South Sudan's Edmund Yakani, decry Africa as a dumping ground, while a January 2025 Trump executive order pushes global deals. Rwanda, previously hosting 3,000 Libyan refugees, 2019-2025, via UNHCR, faced scrutiny during its failed 2022 UK migrant deal over refoulement risks, though it denies violations. The US offered Rwanda a grant, amount undisclosed, but Nigeria and South Africa rejected similar deals. African Union voices warn of strained US-Africa ties, while Horn nations like Somalia monitor migration impacts. Rwanda's human rights record raises concerns, but its government insists on safe integration, shaping regional migration debates. The Third UN Conference on Landlocked Developing Countries, LLDC3, held August 5 through 8, 2025 in Awaza, Turkmenistan, launched the Awaza Program of Action.
We gather today to reaffirm a fundamental truth. Geography should never define destiny. Yet, for the 32 landlocked developing countries across Africa, Asia, Europe, and South America, geography too often limits development opportunities and entrenches inequality.
2024-2034 to tackle trade and connectivity barriers for 32 LLDCs, including Ethiopia and Uganda, per UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres' speech. With 500 million people but only 1% of global trade, LLDCs face trade costs double those of coastal nations due to transit reliance and weak infrastructure. Guterres urged global financial reforms, including debt relief and fair lending, as LLDCs pay high borrowing costs. The Awaza program emphasizes climate resilience, digital connectivity, and trade facilitation, aligning with UN's Sustainable Development Goals. Ethiopia, seeking sea access amid Eritrea and Somalia tensions, exemplifies LLDC challenges. Digital tools like e-commerce and AI could bridge gaps, but LLDC's digital divide, especially for women, demands private sector partnerships via the Global Digital Compact. Multilateral banks must triple concessional funding for transport and green energy, enabling LLDCs to produce high-value goods. As the UN highlight global support, but LLDC leaders stress action over promises. Success could transform the Horn's economy, integrating landlocked nations into global markets. On August 5, 2025, SpaceX's Starlink launched high-speed satellite internet in Somalia and Somaliland, covering Mogadishu, Hargeisa, and Bosaso, per at Starlink on X. Enabled by a deal with Somali authorities, it connects rural and urban areas lacking cable networks, fostering education, e-commerce, and growth. Somalia, with only 2% reliable internet access in 2024, now links to global markets via Starlink's 7,000-plus satellites. Fishermen track prices, startups sell online, and students access e-learning. Yet, Starlink's $50-month subscription is costly for Somalis. Average income, $450 per year, prompting some criticism over digital divides. The government views it as a digital sovereignty step, reducing foreign cable reliance. In the Horn, where connectivity lags, Starlink's impact depends on affordability solutions, like subsidies or local partnerships, to ensure inclusive growth and transform Somalia's economic future. Ethiopia demanded that Somali government troops withdraw from the border town of Beled Hawo in Somalia's Ghetto region, escalating tensions per local reports. Senior Ethiopian military officials, after meeting Jubaland authorities and elders in Dulo, accused certain groups of fueling conflict and denied claims that Ethiopian forces attacked a Somali National Intelligence and Security Agency (NISA) facility. Ethiopia, stationed in Ghetto since the Somali Civil War, cooperates with Jubaland forces, which clashed with Somali federal troops in recent weeks. On August 7th, hundreds of Jubaland troops, backed by armed vehicles, reached Beled Hawo's outskirts, controlled by federal forces under Ghetto Intelligence Chief Abdirashid Janan, raising fears of violence among residents like trader Hassan Abdullahi, who fled with his family. Ethiopia reportedly issued a 72-hour ultimatum for federal troops to cede control to Jubaland, though neither government confirmed it. Somalia's offensive against Jubaland has reclaimed territory, straining Ethiopia-Somalia ties amid Somaliland disputes. Ethiopia frames its demand as a security measure, but Somalia accuses it of meddling. The Horn faces risks of wider conflict, with civilians caught in the crossfire, urging dialogue to stabilize Ghetto. That's your Horn Africa insight for today. From Sudan's refugees to Ethiopia-Somalia tensions, we've covered the Horn's pulse. Smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell for more updates every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Drop a comment. What's the Horn's next big story? Stay informed, stay engaged.